Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I haven't posted a video in a really long time, and I meant to post this, or actually meant to record this about 1 to 2 weeks after we came back from our trip, but we've been super busy. Things have been super crazy, as I'm sure it has been for a lot of people, so I just never got around to doing it. But I wanted to make sure that I recorded it before it got too late. So the video is about our trip this past summer in London. Some of you may have seen my other videos about the trip, leading up to the trip. But for those of you who haven't, we spent this past summer in London, me, my husband, and my daughter. And I wanted to just kind of give a recap of how it went, just some basic information about our trip, where we stayed, how it was working and living in London. So I just wanted to make this video to sort of decompress all of the information about how our summer went in London. So I wrote down a couple of things so that I don't forget, because when I talk about London and our summer and everything, I can kind of get off on a couple of tangents because there's a lot of information to share. I will be posting more videos about it, specific to things that we liked in London, things that we didn't like, comparisons to London and here in the US, things like that. But for now, I'm just gonna give a basic overview of just kind of the little things. So the first thing I wanted to touch on is how we were able to stay in London for the summer. So my daughter doesn't go to school during the summer, so we didn't have to worry about that. We do have a dog, but I have a really good friend who, for a living, watches dogs, boards dogs, things like that. So she was really awesome, and he was able to stay with her, and she did an amazing job. She sent me photos several times a week, updates. He needed to be groomed. She took him for me. She took care of really anything that he needed. It was really awesome. She's great, and I felt very comfortable with him staying with her. And so that was a great relief for us because we wanted to take him with us. We looked at different Airbnbs that accepted pets, but what we found was that the Airbnb was either ridiculously expensive, which they already are, or the flat apartment was just not up to par, old, kind of ghetto. And with our summer there, we just, not knowing the different like neighborhoods and areas, we didn't want to stay in an area that we didn't know if it was safe or what to expect. So we just didn't want to pick a place because they accepted dogs, not knowing anything about the area, especially based off the reviews and the things that we saw in the photos. So we just didn't feel comfortable, so we figured he could stay with my friend, and it all worked out. Then my husband and I both work full-time, and luckily, because we've been planning this for a really long time, my boss was aware of it, my husband's boss was aware of it, and it worked out. We were able to do it. Working remotely wasn't really a big deal. I was already working from home pre-COVID, so it didn't really change a lot about my job. Mostly what changed was just the hours that we were working, which I will touch on that a little bit later. But yeah, so everything worked out on that end. The other thing I wanted to talk about is where we stayed. We stayed in Fulham, which is a city in West London, near to the Chelsea football stadium, if you're familiar with it, and near the Brompton Cemetery, which is super popular. It's been in a couple movies, shows, different things like that. And it was on a busy street. The apartment, or flat, I guess, the building was 4 stories. So the bottom story was a tattoo parlor, and then we were on the 2nd floor, and I believe there were 2 flats above us. Our flat was a 1-bedroom, 1 bath. I actually took video of the flat to do a flat tour that I never posted. I think I still have the footage, so I may still put it together and post it. It was just kind of rushed, and I don't know that I did a very good job videoing everything. The street that we were on was very noisy, so it was hard to kind of find a time of the day where I could close all the windows and it would still be quiet enough for me to do the video, but I'll see if I can find it and put that together and post it so you guys can see what a flat in London looks like, or at least the one that we stayed at. So that was the area that we stayed in. We really liked it, and I will talk more about that in some other videos. And the next thing I want to touch on is how COVID affected our plans. So of course we were still able to go. We thought about it for a while, whether we should still go or not. We had invested a lot of time, a lot of money, and essentially there wasn't going to be another summer, at least not anytime soon, where we could do something like this. And we felt that if they would let us in, that we would go. We would be, you know, safe, wear masks, social distance, all of that, follow all their regulations and their guidelines, and we felt comfortable with that. So our flights got canceled a couple times. We had to call Delta several times, wait on hold for what felt like hours, but we were finally able to make sure everything was in place, and we made it to London. Luckily, we got there, I think it was on June 4th, and they instituted their mandatory 14-day quarantine for anybody arriving June 8th and after. So we missed that quarantine, so that was nice. We did have, of course, other plans. If you saw some of my other videos, I talked about all the different places that we were supposed to go. Amsterdam, Scotland, Ireland, Paris, Switzerland, Germany. There were several places that we were going to go to. It was going to be really awesome. And then of course all of those things got canceled, which is understandable. I used a lot of miles and points to book everything, so luckily I got all of that back. And the things that we paid for in cash, we either got refunded or we got a credit. So it worked out. We still have all of that credit that we will probably be using next year. But yeah, that was disappointing because we really were expecting to have a really awesome summer. And it was still awesome, just right, not what we originally had planned. So there were some interruptions with our plans, but we were able to still spend that time in London. We actually did visit a city south of London, so it's a beach city, Brighton. It's a very cool city, eclectic. I'm sure I will post another video about that, but we were able to at least visit another area in the UK besides London, so that was still something that was really nice, that we weren't just staying in London. We were actually able to see some other things, which staying in London for the whole summer is great in and of itself, but that was still something fun that we got to do, even though COVID was of course ruining some other plans. But also wanted to talk about what it was like working and living in London. So the whole point of the trip, besides the fact that I've always wanted to live in London, even for a short period of time, just to experience it. I love London. We wanted to kind of see what it would feel like to actually live there, you know, to grocery shop, commute, and just spend time there, to actually get that real experience, that non-tourist experience. So that was something that we got to do. Of course, working from home, you don't get that same experience of going into the city for work and things like that. But of course, that's probably something that was never going to happen, because being able to work remotely through our jobs is how we were able to do it in the first place. So I did get to experience taking a class at the university there. Originally, I was actually going to be going on the campus, but of course, when this happened, everything moved to online, which was still fine. It was an amazing experience, and that was really the main reason that we were doing this London trip. So that's something I'm going to talk about in another video. But the way that it worked out, our work schedules had to line up with the time here in the US. So we ended up working usually 2 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., somewhere within that time frame. So we worked in the evening to line up with the daytime here. And so we had our mornings to do all the things that we wanted to do, go out and explore, go out and eat, things like that. And then we'd come home and we'd work. And we'd usually either make dinner from something we bought at the grocery store, we would walk down the street and get food, or we would order through Deliveroo, which is their equivalent to DoorDash, but way more amazing, and I will talk about that in a different video. But that was really what our Monday through Friday looked like. And then on the weekends, we had the whole day to really do whatever we wanted. And so that was really nice. We got to do more things, be out longer, go to places that were a bit farther. So that was really great. I will go into more details about what it was like living there in a separate video, but overall it was a really great experience. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just kind of what our takeaway was from this summer. So I think I can speak for my husband as well, but for me, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about London, that I don't miss it, that I'm not watching my stories and my pictures on Instagram thinking about how great it was and reliving those moments and thinking about when I'll go back. I loved it and I miss it, and I wish that I could go there and live there more permanently. So we'll definitely be visiting London again because of course we loved it. And in the other videos about London, I'll talk more about why we loved it so much and some things of course that we didn't like. And I also have a video that I'll be making about some of our bad experiences. We didn't have many, but we had a few, and one of them was really interesting, so I'm gonna make a video about that. So if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe as well. As I said, I will be posting more videos about our trip. Otherwise, I hope that you guys have a great day and that you're staying safe, and I'll see you guys on my next video.